Basically flew out of Colorado here and flew into LA. Had a little layover there for a couple hours, and then flew into Narita in Japan, which is it's like 45 minutes, like east of Tokyo or something like that, 30, kind of depending on traffic. But just flew into there first night, got in about 8 p.m. and then stayed the night at the hotel. Next day we rented a car. It was really interesting. It was pretty cool. We met up with these really awesome Australian guys. Met them at the hotel, the night before. Seen them down in the lobby and stuff, and the vending machines. So it was cool. We initially weren't going to get a rental car. We were just going to do the bullet train, which would have turned out to be a big pain in the ass if we would have done that. So I'm glad we ran into them and kind of talking to them. They said, the rental car is the way to go. Because the JR Rail Pass is like $300 or something for, to pretty much ride unlimited trains for 2 weeks, and that's how long we were there. But so we rented the car, and split between 3 people, and the tolls and stuff. It ended up being a lot cheaper and gave us a lot of freedom, especially with Ebisu, being at the track, being able to drive it around everywhere. All the tracks are just so far apart. It would have sucked, as far as trying to make video and catch up with people there. We drove up to Ebisu, which is about 3.5 hours north of kind of Tokyo area in that realm. So we, just basically got on the toll road and just headed straight there, and stopped off at the first initial gas station. Checked out all the there's like these little side street kind of like pull off things, and you got like a little family mart on them, and you go and buy all kinds of food, like little, like snacks and stuff like that, a little convenience store. So stopped in one of those, and then got to, a couple hours later, got to Nihon Matsu, I think is how you say it, and that's the town that's closest to Ebisu, or is in Ebisu. There's Denny's there, but didn't go to that. They got a McDonald's and a bunch of other things, and a train station and all that stuff, and a few awesome places to eat. But so that was day 2. We basically got to the track. We just got here to Ebisu. Toilet or whatever. These vending machines like absolutely everywhere. So every time you stop, you just get something different, even though you don't know what it is. So I don't know what this thing is. But
you see some of the
we're just kind of waiting around for the way. Checked out Aaron's car, started it for the first time.
Oh, it smells like a Japanese car. Old. Get the right size tires.
Started right up. I hadn't really been sitting there too long because Power Vehicles just went ahead and made sure everything was all good, and service and everything was up to date and ready to smash on it for a week. So what do you think of your car?
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to learn how to drive it. It's not gonna do second gear.
So weird, like drive all this like elevation change.
Yeah, I know, this is exciting. I love elevation change.
It's awesome, yeah. It's just cool, like driving around it. It's like we're like on a safari, but it's like track and car safari.
God, I love how sketchy everything is here. God, I love that.
So day 1 at the track, we pretty much just kind of checked it out a little bit, kind of explored a few of the tracks, drove the car around, made sure it still, made sure it drove and stuff. Ebisu is actually a zoo, so there's like lions and tigers, and there's like the bears and elephants and monkeys and all kinds of stuff, and it's really interesting. If you go there in the morning, it'll be like walking the monkeys around and stuff, and I guess they even let like the little tiger out and do some sketchy stuff, but yeah, so that's pretty cool that it's at a zoo. It definitely makes it interesting. Basically all the tracks are just kind of staggered, like all over the mountain, so that's why it was nice to have the rental car. When you first get there, you pull through the gates, and then you kind of go down, and then you just go like up this hill to this main area, where there's like a cafeteria and the lions and all that stuff. and the Elephant, and that's where the drift land is. And then you go off to, you kind of go down, and then you go to the right, and then there's the D1. No, that's not the D1 course. Manami, the jump course, and then school course. And then you go up off to the left, and there's power vehicles, and then you go to tailgate course, and then you go to, I forget what the other main course is, but it's the fast one that you don't get to drive unless it's the Matsuri. So the whole reason behind going to Japan, Aaron Losey right there in the brown, he runs all the Texas drift events, Lone Star Drift and the Pro-Am series down there, and Texas Street Legal, a new series that he's promoting. And Cody Slack is helping him film that, as well as doing his own BC Racing and Achilles, like Back to the Basics drifting documentary. So sorry I didn't really do a super pretty, awesome, cinematic video, but Cody's doing something like that and is going to do, something amazing with it. So I'll be sure to share that with you guys, as well as Aaron. I already told you guys about his YouTube channel, but he's trying to promote his Texas Street Legal series. He's offering basically a trip to Japan to come do this next year, and come out and drive cars and stuff like that. And he's just basically, that series just promotes not overbuilding your car and actually having something that's reliable and doesn't go through a shitload of tires, and just keeping drifting fun. So I'll be sure to share that stuff with you when that comes out. So day 3, Aaron got his car all squared away. We went out and did a couple practice laps on school course, just with the tires and stuff that were on it, made sure everything was running good. Came back and swapped some different tires onto it, some new fronts and rears, and then went back out on school course and had a couple issues with the alignment. It was kind of cambered in a little bit, so we adjusted that. Tried to get a little bit more tire wear out of it because it was wearing the insides prematurely. Day 4 was the first day of the Matsuri.
So this is the Nishi course at night. It's like 10, almost 11 o'clock at night. You can see some people are in their trucks running. They don't have trucks and trailers here. It's pretty much all these trucks like this, just single ones. You can see here they got basically these tents. They close in the sides and put little heaters and shit in there. See they're working on stuff right here. Hello. Some other guy over here is working on some stuff.
That's probably more like if you're right here. Okay, azas.
So this is the Nishi course at night. It's like 10, almost 11 o'clock at night. You can see some people are in their trucks running. They don't have trucks and trailers here. It's pretty much all these trucks like this, just single ones. You can see here they got basically these tents. They close in the sides and put little heaters and shit in there. See they're working on stuff right here. See all the spare parts he brings. Knuckles, tranny, coilovers, suspension arms, impact guns, tons of wheels.
Okay.
You know, it's just crazy to see, I guess from my perspective, coming from the United States where we don't get any of those cars, you know, because still in Australia and stuff they have stuff like that, but over here in the States, I mean, we don't have, you know, we don't have the S15s, any of the Skylines, any of that stuff, any of the JZX90s, JZX100s, any of that stuff, and nobody really like drifts like FD RX-7s over here a lot, and so there was a couple of those out on track that looked like, you know, and they're full like aero and crazy graphics and shit just out there smashing laps on Manami in the wet. So that was sweet to see. So day 5 was pretty much just another day of rain at the Matsuri. You know, and I didn't have my car yet, so I went around and just filmed a bunch of stuff, tried to stay dry, and helped Aaron and Cody, the guys who I went with. They're kind of filming a documentary with BC Racing and the Texas Street Legal Series and stuff. They're kind of doing something with that. So they were there filming with that, and I was fortunate enough to be able to tag along with them. So I helped them with some footage, helped them shoot some drone shots, and you know, kind of get to different places and stuff. Day 6, day after the Matsuri, I'd been talking to Andy, the guy who owns Power Vehicles, about buying a car pretty much since I got there. I didn't have a lot that I wanted to spend. I didn't, have a lot of money and stuff on me, and so he just had this JZX90 that somebody just sold back to him after the Matsuri. That was still, he just was driving it after the Matsuri. So it had a set of almost new Kendas on the back, a decent set of tires on the front, but yeah, I mean it pretty much a solid missile, you know. I mean the side mount intercooler, no front bumper, only one headlight. The hood was hanging up all crazy, because they broke some intercooler piping that I had to fix, the whole back end was pretty much just like smashed. It was smashed in and up, So it wasn't a pretty car to look at, and the driver door was kind of tacoed a little bit, and both of the driver's side windows were out of it, so I had some plastic in there that I had to kind of fit on it. But yeah, drove that thing for I think 3 or 4 days, and got more seat time in it in those 3 or 4 days, and spent less money doing that than I did like going to one out-of-state pro-am event, here in the States. So, I mean, getting to Japan and everything, it's kind of expensive, and staying there and all that stuff. That's where a lot of the cost comes, and then buying the entry fees and stuff to the track every day. But pretty much you just have full reign of the whole track. You have the choice of 4 or 5 courses for the day, and the 5th course is Manami, that the famous jump one, and so you get to choose what course you want to run. You could do a half day, but definitely buying it through Power Vehicles helped a ton, because when you buy the vehicle through them, you have access to their tire machine to buy new tires and stuff from them. They have tons of brand new Kendas and stuff there for you to buy, so that definitely made it nice to be able to change my own tires just right there with a brand new set, just pretty much out of a pile, and kind of add it to your bill, and then at the end of your trip you kind of figure out what you owe them after buying the car, and if you decide to sell it back to them and all that stuff, which is what I did. If you check out my other video, I have tons of footage of driving it. Yeah, I decided to sell it back to him. It was pretty much just it was just too much, of a, not really a basket case, but a basket case for me. It was fun to drive it there. It looked like shit, but man, it when you're driving it felt like $1 million, just being in Japan, driving. I mean, that's just awesome. But so yeah, it was too rough to part out, or to there's no time to part it out or ship anything back or any of that stuff, or try to ship it over here. And so what I'm going to do is probably go back next year and come with a little bit more money and buy something nicer that I won't have to work on as much. And they're really trying to get away from the cheaper missiles and stuff like that. They usually don't sell anything like that. They keep a couple of them around just for people on the Matsuris and stuff, but like Aaron's car, his car is really, really nice, and something that you'd almost want to import back over here. But it's a nice car for now. See how long it lasts over there. Everybody says that Ebisu is where cars go to die, so we'll see how nice he keeps it in there. But yeah, one of the first days, or the second day with the car, I went up to the Toge course and didn't have a seatbelt, so I did a couple laps up there, and I was like, yeah, this is way too sketchy. I guess everybody rolls their car up at Toge course, so just with the walls, or the banked dirt everywhere, and how tight and technical it is. I mean, if you mess up, you kind of go off, and then you tip over, and so definitely didn't like doing that without a seatbelt. So one guy rolled his car, and there was kind of a parts car there, so I was able to get the seatbelt stuff off of it through Andy and them, because the guy before me, I think he had a harness in there and he took it with him. But so I think it was on like the 9th day or something like that. One of the next days I knew it was going to rain, so we had put this little like plastic, it's like a thicker plastic, almost like a shower curtain in the window. So taped that all up, got it all weather tight, and the windshield wipers weren't working, so I had to plug in. Well, I was diagnosing it, and I was going to run a power thing, and I was going to put a switch and all kinds of stuff in it, just with other stuff they had at the track. But then I opened up the cowl, and the plug was just unplugged. They unplugged it just because I guess they were slapping the sticks too many times. But so just plugged that in. I had windshield wipers again. I had the heater and everything worked in there. I put new intercooler piping on it. They had basically a pile of random parts. And that's another nice thing about power vehicles is, I mean, they just have parts, you know. I mean, if somebody smashes their car, I mean, they buy it back. They take all the parts off. They put them in a pile. You know, if you come along and you need something, you know, there it is. And, you know, available to purchase or whatever. And they have oil and brake fluid and power steering fluid and, you know, tons of stuff all just laying around, you know. So that's definitely nice. I don't really think there'd be a way for anybody like me to come from the United States not having anything there, you know, as far as tools or equipment or anything, and be able to have as good of a time as I did with as little of like issues, like, you know, so to speak. So yeah, I installed the plastic over the window and went out and drove it in the rain for like I think it was a day that day, and then the next day drove it in the rain, so I didn't have to buy any tires those days, which was that was real cool. I think I only ended up buying one set of tires. One of the other guys had a pair of tires he just gave me, and then another, you know, and then I bought a set of new Kendas. And so on I think day 10, I finally drove the Minami course. I was a little bit sketched out. I obviously have a sense of like self-preservation. I don't want to die. And, you know, just because I'm in a shitty car, I don't want to go out and, you know, just go balls to the wall and smash myself into a wall and end up in the hospital in a country where I don't speak the language or any of that stuff. That's definitely what I didn't want to do. So I kind of took it easy a little bit, and then finally decided to actually commit over the little jump. You kind of do a little flick kind of at it or before it, like a little clutch kick, and then you do it and going faster and everything. It's just so much smoother and so much better to actually do it and commit it to it. And riding with Aaron and stuff for the couple of days, I kind of knew what I needed to do in order to actually do that and have a good time on Minami. But yeah, I mean, completely stock JZX90. I think the boost was turned up a little bit. Turbos were smoking. I took the boost controller off because I didn't want the turbos going out prematurely on me. But clutch and everything held good, so I was able to do Minami and most of the courses and stuff in third gear where I needed it. So that was a lot of fun. So day 11 was the last day there. I installed a pretty much fresh set of tires the day before, you know, when I was at Minami and stuff like that, and didn't quite go through them. So we got some. It was kind of a relaxed, real, you know, day. Kind of was figuring out what I was doing with, you know, selling the car back to him and stuff. And Aaron was just kind of putting some tires away with his car and having them look at a few other little things on it and kind of planning to maybe up the power for next time when he comes. But so it was a real relaxed day. And then I had one of the other guys, we strapped the GoPro to his hood on another JZX 100, and he followed me on the tow course and got some decent footage of that. And you know, still had a little tire left. I decided to just go ahead and hang it up. You know, the car was almost out of gas, and I had a good run. You know, didn't blow it up. I didn't hurt myself. I didn't roll it. I didn't do any of that stuff, and I was still able to sell it back to him. And, you know, get some of my money back for the rest of the trip. So yeah, we did that, and then we headed off to Tokyo that night. So when we got to Tokyo, pretty much as soon as you start getting into Tokyo, you can just see the cars change, you know. Or I mean, all the other cars look the same, but you could just see like that random car, you know, over here, you know, there's like an R34 Skyline, you know. And then, you know, coming up next to you, there's this like bagged Lexus LS400 with these like crazy like tail lights that like flash and go back and forth, and all these LEDs and underglow and stuff, and these crazy wheels and flares. And then I've seen more FD RX-7s driving around on the road there than I've ever like seen in person here in the States. So but yeah, so we went to the Dakotu Futu, or sorry, I suck at speaking the language, but I think it's the Dakotu Futu car park, and tons of crazy cars, you know, that, you know, and I feel like it was a pretty slow night there, but it's crazy Lexus was like this little bubble thing and a hood that went all sideways, and you know, like Lamborghini doors and a door that opened up sideways and stuff. So that was interesting. Tons of, you know, 180 SXs, you know, R32s, R33s, R34s. Crazy Evo with a giant wing on it, some American muscle cars, like, you know, 69 Camaro, you know, things like that. They had these crazy little like box vans that were really small and just like slammed, and so they, you know, checked all that stuff out. So yeah, on our way back from the little car meet at the Kotu or whatever, we went to this other one. I think it's a Tsunami or some other car park that's famous. There's this JDM Maps app that if you get on there and if you download that on like iOS, it'll show you all like the meeting spots and like the up garages and like like the Nismo Center, like basically all the tuning shops and all that stuff. So that's, if you go to Japan, that's a good place to check, or a good app to check out. As basically as we're leaving, there's this like mile long like tunnel that's like underneath the ocean. And when we're in there, we're just in a little rental car, 5 people packed in or whatever, tons of camera gear and stuff. And, you could hear something, and I mean, pretty much every car guy or everybody who's, into this stuff, I mean, you kind of know a certain sound. And I mean, you could hear like the inline 6, And so I was like, oh, it has to be like a, Skyline or something, or Supra or something's coming up, what is it? And then all of a sudden, this, I think it was R32 or R33, just comes like ripping by us in the tunnel, and then Aaron, he just smashes on the rental car, and, tries to keep up with him and stuff like that, but it was just funny. And, and then shortly after that, another one just comes ripping by us as well. So that was real cool. I was talking to some of the other guys that were we met them at the airport when we finally left, but they were at that same meet, and they said like later that night people were doing like 270 kilometers an hour on the through like those areas and stuff, just like at like 2 or 3 in the morning and stuff. So it was real cool. I wasn't in Tokyo. I was there the weekend, so I didn't get to see any of the crazy like businessy traffic and people going to work and piling into the trains and stuff. We rode the train on Saturday to, I think, was it Saturday? We rode the train on one of the days to like one of, in the Tokyo Drift where Han like drifts through the world's busiest intersection. So we went to that, and that's like a really popular, shopping area and stuff. So we got to watch the world's, most popular intersection just like go crazy, look like ants. Went to a sushi place. If you guys were on my Snapchat, you order sushi on a little thing, tell it what you want, it brings it out, they obviously have to make it and stick it on there, but that was pretty cool. Didn't really get a chance to mess around in Tokyo too much. Later that night we went to the it's called the Robot Restaurant. It's kind of expensive to go to that, but it was pretty interesting. It's a pretty cool show. It was like an hour and a half. But I thought there was going to be like actually food there. So if you go, there's not food unless you like pre-order it. They have like chips and popcorn and beer and stuff that you could buy there. But it was a pretty interesting show. After that, we headed back to Narita, just because kind of wanted to hang out. Ben running around so much during the week. It was kind of nice to relax. So we went back to the hotel at Narita, the one we initially stayed at. And then the next day, pretty much just farted around. Oh, the next day, yeah, we went to Daigo Saito's shop. So that was pretty cool. Got to check out all his, the Drift Lamborghini. He just bought a 2016 or 2015 Escalade and had, it was these crazy 26-inch 4G Auto wheels on it. He had customers like R35 GTR that he was building as a drift car in there. They were buffing that. But it was just awesome to see his shop, especially after seeing a couple of the other videos and pictures of it this year, on the internet. It was awesome to show up over there myself and check it out. So kind of walked around there for a little bit, checked everything out, checked out his D1 car with the 2J, almost mounted midship in there, not midship, but set back almost behind the firewall. So that was definitely cool. Met up with Robbie Nishida and stuff, and they did a little interview and stuff there for BC Racing. And then after that we kind of farted around, went to a couple of the up garages area, went to the HKS. There's like an HKS thing that was fairly close to there, stopped into that, and then pretty much just went back to the hotel after that. Went to bed, and then the next day I think our flight left at like 6 at night or something. So we just kind of farted around, went to the little mall and stuff there. went to a couple, camera stores and just kind of farted around, and then went and hung out at the airport, for a couple hours before our flight. Didn't want to, miss the international flight. But yeah, overall, I had a blast. It was definitely an experience. I was debating on going because I didn't want to spend the money. I was like, oh man, for the amount of money I'm going to spend on this trip, I could have the 2J sitting in there in my drift car, and I was like, screw it. Like, how often do you have the actual opportunity to go somewhere with people that are going to that same place, that want to do the same things and all that stuff. So it all worked out really good, and I'm definitely glad I went. Learned a lot of stuff and got a little cultured and stuff. I got to eat a ton of Japanese food. As far as like the language barrier, it seemed like it wasn't really too hard. As far as like eating and stuff, pretty much everywhere you went had pictures. You just kind of point, even if you didn't know what it was, you kind of point at it. And I had an app on my phone that had basic translations and stuff that like eating out and greetings and just kind of these like basic categories that I'd kind of looked at. So I kind of knew a few little words and stuff and kind of ways to get around. But for the most part, you just point at stuff and or tell them tell them hello and tell them thank you when you leave in their language. So that was pretty much the basics. And then, but yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I hope to do, go more places and do more things, but with time and stuff. I'd like to go somewhere again next year. I don't know if we'll go back to Japan or somewhere else, but I'd like to definitely do another out of the country trip. It was the first time I've ever been out of the country, and the first time I've ever been on that long of a plane ride. The first time I actually was on a plane, I went skydiving when I got out of high school a couple years ago. That was the first time I was ever actually on a plane. But after that was last year when I went to SEMA, and then pretty much this time was when we went to there. So being over the ocean, for like 12 hours in an airplane, it's pretty interesting. But it was cool though, because we were on Singapore Airlines. The food and everything was pretty decent, and they had all the movies and TV stuff that you could just watch and entertain yourself. So the flight wasn't bad and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for all my subscribers and everybody sticking around, and look forward to some stuff with the 2J in my car. I'm kind of upset with myself, not upset with myself, but after seeing everything over there in Japan, it's just so much easier for them to drift than it is for us in certain aspects, just because they have 240SXs with SRs in them from the factory. They have JZX 90s and JZX 100s that have 1Js in them with R154s in a 4-door car that's rear-wheel drive that, pretty much you throw a diff in it and you could go slide it, a diff and some coilovers, and you're sliding. So a lot of the guys over there, the cars are really, really simple. Stock turbos, like maybe a front mount, the boost turned up a little bit, clutches and limited slips. I noticed that a lot too. Is a lot of guys in the United States, we don't run like real diffs, or at least kind of locally we don't. It's pretty much just welded diffs. Everybody over there, it has a 2-way or 1.5-way diff in it, and instead of welded, I guess they don't like them or something like that. But I guess another thing is people don't really have space to work on their own cars over there. Like Daigo Saito's shop over there is like kind of unheard of as far as like shops go. It's kind of like personal, and stuff like that. There's like a lot of like lube places and mechanic places, but to have like a custom fab shop like that that's so big, and it's not even that big compared to, my shop here is like 2,800 and some square feet. His shop was maybe, I think it might have been 5,000 or something like that. But still, it's just crazy that they don't have that. So a lot of guys in the United States, we end up building cars and overbuilding them because we're building them, because you have to build them, because you can't get a KA and go compete. Everybody wants to swap an SR or turbo the KA, and then they build the KA, and then they blow the KA up, so then they swap an LS or a 2J in it. And you know, if you're putting a 2J or a 1J in it, you know, you might as well put a bigger turbo and a crazy clutch, and then you get an angle kit, you get a body kit, and then you do full roll cage. And by the time, you know, it's all said and done, you know, you're in debt, you're pissed off, you've been working on this car for over a year, you know, you got 10, 20 grand in it, and you still haven't driven it, you know, whereas in Japan, you throw a set of coilovers and a diff in a SR car or a JZX, something with a JZ in it, and you go drive, you know. So it's just interesting how kind of that is, and how it relates to, I guess, what we've done over here. And I mean, everybody, you know, their dad, their cousin, their uncle, somebody has a welder. You know, over there, that stuff's kind of rare. You know, it's you know, definitely seems like it. So, but yeah, I was gonna do another video talking about kind of the different styles of cars and driving and things like that too. But yeah, see what I can make of this.